Let's contemplate that. Like, would you be buying anything right now if you didn't have to?
Okay. Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning.
And good for the uncertainty the way
Welcome
it is.
to the investment meeting of the Teachers Retirement Board for May 4th, 2023. I'm going to start by calling the roll. Brian Bergen,
Brian Berge, representing Mayor Eric Adams, present.
Thomas Brown,
Good morning, Patricia, present.
morning. Dr. Angela Green. Anthony Giordano,
Here representing Dr. Angela Green, chairwoman of the PEP.
thank you. Allison Hirsch, or John Dorser.
John Dorsa, designee for control, Brad Lander, and I want to note that Allison Hirsch is zooming in remotely.
Morning, all.
Good morning. David Gazansky
Present, and may the fourth be with you all.
and Victoria Lee.
Present.
So we have a quorum, and I'll turn it over to the chair.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, people up on Zoom. We'll start with the Passport Funds March 23 performance review, and I guess Melkaton. Gonna take that.
Thank you.
All right, so, for the month of March, what we can see across, the board here is that we did have positive results, for all of the funds in the passport funds, during the month. March, as I think you probably are all very aware, was a volatile month, really kicked off by some of the, disruptions we saw in the banking sector, starting with Silicon Valley Bank, and the different, governmental and regulatory responses to that instability. We did subsequently see the Fed go ahead and increase their interest rates by 25 basis points later in the month of March, which was as expected, despite some of the concerns about the state of the banking sector. In terms of the results, looking down the column for the month of March, most of your funds had positive results in the neighborhood of around 2 to 3%. The outliers being within the diversified equity fund, the actively managed US equity component, which was still positive, but only had a return of about 30 basis points for the month of March. Some of your active managers did underperform for the month, particularly some of the value-oriented managers. On the flip side of that, the best performer for the month of March was the Sustainable Equity Fund, further down the page, which had a 6% return for the month. And that fund, given its growth orientation, did benefit from the market dynamics during the month of March, which definitely favored some of the more growth-oriented sectors. Looking out to the 3 months, you can see the results for the full quarter ended March 31st. Again, across the board in positive territory, with some varying results. We did see both the active US equity and the international composite for the quarter within the diversified equity funds, either in line or outperforming their respective benchmarks. The balanced fund was the weakest performer on an absolute basis for the quarter, returned about 3.5%. That is a more conservative balanced fund. It's about 70% short-term fixed income, about 30% in global equities, and with fixed income only up about 2% for the quarter. That on a relative basis kind of drag down the more 7% equity return for that balanced fund. And on a positive note, the Sustainable Equity Fund is up about 14.5% for the quarter ended March. Again, really between the month of March and also January, which was very favorable towards tech stocks in particular, really helped those more growth-oriented funds. Your index funds, of course, are tracking in line with their benchmarks for both the month and the quarter, with the US equity fund faring a bit better than the international at 7.2 for the quarter versus 6.5 for the international. And looking out to the 1 year, we are still in negative territory despite the positive results during the first quarter, just given certainly the very negative year we had in 2022. Any questions on the March update? If not, we can spend a few minutes on April.
Any questions? Good.
Thanks, Amanda. What we saw in April was a continuation of the resilience in the marketplace, in spite of higher interest rates, banking sector concerns, as Amanda alluded to, and newly US debt ceiling concerns as well. In spite of that, we did see virtually positive results across the board. The global market composite benchmark was up by 1.2%, and the hybrid benchmark was up by 1.16%. Year to date, both those benchmarks were up by 8.34% and 8.27% respectively. The best performers across the board there were the international equity benchmarks. We saw strong performance from the International Equity Fund, 1.76%, which is at the bottom, and the International Equity Fund Benchmark Composite, which is up by 1.63%. The weakest performer a month was the Sustainable Equity Fund. However, as Amanda also mentioned earlier, we did see strong performance in January, which still holds strong, and year to date, we are up by 13.53%. So overall, the main takeaway here is that, yes, there was some continued resilience in the market, in spite of higher interest rates, in spite of banking sector concerns, and now US debt concerns as well. Debt ceiling concerns, sorry.
Thank you, Devin. Any questions for Amanda or Devin? Great. Let's go to the April 2023 market performance update. I guess close off with Steve.
Well, actually, is it preliminary returns? No, it's, sorry.
We have no
Preliminary
update.
returns.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, tell me preliminary returns, we talk about. it.
Yeah,
Executives.
sure. Any other public agenda items for the pension fund? That's that, so I think it's time to go into executive session. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Great, all those in favor going into executive session, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Tensions? We're now in executive session. Okay, so we are back in public session. Welcome back, everybody. And I guess we have a readout from Susan.
Thank you, Tom. In executive session, we received updates on market developments, various investment initiatives, and preliminary performance in April. We also received an infrastructure presentation on which consensus was reached.
Great, thank you, Susan. Any questions? So do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Second. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Always. Thank you, everyone on Zoom.